Hello there. I'm now going to do part 5 of the analysis videos that I've been doing of my recent transmission, Angels on Earth, Your Time Has Come, Illuminati's Last Stand, March Equinox 2017. So this is part 5. And the next piece says, did one create the other? So that's talking about what I was speaking about in part 4. The moving into the specific area of that which you call space in order to receive beams of transformational light upon your planet occurred simultaneously to the awakening of these rainbow warriors and the graduation to the next polarity level. Did one create the other? As in, did the moving into the specific area of space in order to receive these beams of transformational light, did that create the awakening of the rainbow warriors and the graduation to the next polarity level? Or was it the other way around? I did discuss this in the last section, part 4. Whilst these are simultaneous events, the truth here is that you created this. You whom we speak to now, you created this, for you are the architect. There is no other architect save you and you alone. So what they're saying here is there's a designer for this reality. One soul, one structure, one consciousness designed this reality and the way that this reality is set up. That designer, known as the architect, is you. There is only one. And it's you because we are all one soul. And when you start to awaken your memories, you know that you are that one soul. So, as I said, I'm just going over old ground from the last part. We come to a pivotal time now on your planet Earth, the Equinox Point, your March equinox, spring or autumn, depending on where you are situated upon your planet. So this transmission came through just before the equinox, so it was around March 20th, March 21st, and we're now May 3rd. So we're still in that energy. What the 9 are talking about here is that that particular point, that equinox point, was like a stargate for this awakening, this critical mass awareness of individuals who are consciously making steps within their reality to create the larger reality that is made up of a lighter polarity and not such an intense polarity. Critical mass was reached for that around this March equinox point. The fullness of this graduation we speak of is triggered at this point. It is no longer possible for any movement backwards into the original constructed matrix of entrapment. The reason for this is the polarization of many individuals upon your planet, including those in key positions within your government, military, and secret service institutions. Full polarization into a service to others frequency is rare indeed, shall we say, within these particular constructs. These are predominantly service to self domains, and any leanings towards service to others is usually squashed, deceived, controlled, or replaced. So the fullness of this graduation we speak of is triggered at this point. The triggering, the fullness of this graduation is triggered at this March equinox point. It's no longer possible for any movement backwards into the original constructed matrix of entrapment. So there have been times within our known history when we've reached these pivotal points, and sometimes, depending on what it is that critical mass has actually reached, there can be a slip backwards into the old energy somewhat. What's actually happened here is it's no longer possible for any movement backwards into the original constructed matrix of entrapment. So what they're saying is this constructed matrix of entrapment is still here for those who are not aware that it's there. The third dimensional individuals that are still in a state of control. It's still there now. However, there are a large number of individuals that have reached an understanding of this false narrative, this false matrix, this constructed matrix of entrapment. These individuals are aware of this. they are fully aware of this, and they're taking steps to do whatever they can to educate others. So this is a spreading energy. And around the March equinox, that knowing reached critical mass. It's not necessarily the numbers of individuals, the amount of individuals, it's the individuals and the consciousness that they hold. And that in itself creates an energy that creates this critical mass sort of tipping point. So although this original constructed matrix of entrapment is still there for others, it isn't possible for this critical mass awareness to go back. For example, let's say we've got 50,000 people on this planet who are aware of the false matrix. I'm sure it's much, much more than that. Let's say it's 50,000. That's reached a critical mass point. That critical mass tipping point can't go back. Those 50,000 will not forget. They're not going to wake up one morning and think and forget that this is a entrapment, that there's a matrix of entrapment and a false narrative. They're not going to forget that they are now seeing and looking for the true reality. So that critical mass point can't go backwards. Now, it isn't just the star seeds and their consciousness that's creating this tipping point. The 9 is saying here, the reason for this is the polarization of many individuals upon your planet, including those in key positions within your government, military, and secret service institutions. So the polarization of many individuals upon your planet, many individuals have polarized into a service to others frequency. Polarization is, when it comes to service to others, you just need to be more service to others than service to self. And it's almost like you've got service to self and service to others at 50% each. And the minute service to others goes above that, so just above 50%, so it can be above 50% a little bit, or it can be up at 90% or 100% or whatever. But the minute it goes bigger, so we're looking at perhaps 51% service to others and 49% service to self, the minute that happens within an energy system, they've polarized. They only have to tip into a larger expanse within the service to others polarization, and then they're polarized. So around this March equinox point, this critical mass awareness of individuals who are seeing the false reality and are learning to work with the true reality, that critical mass awareness has happened simultaneous to all these individuals polarizing. Now, once an individual polarizes, they don't go back. It's very rare. It's not out of the realms of possibility, and somewhere within our reality in this time period, there may well have been individuals that have gone back for a while. But really, once you've polarized, you create a certain energy within your body that can't kind of shut off. So if you go back to a service to self behavior, it becomes forced, it becomes pushed, it feels so wrong and out of alignment. Your alignment becomes so very, very profound when you polarize, and it doesn't feel good to be out of that alignment. It can actually make you ill to be out of that alignment. You can catch diseases and manifest illnesses to go out of alignment once you've polarized. So once you're in a state of polarization, the only way you feel comfortable is to be in alignment and be in integrity, and you won't want to compromise that. So once that polarization has occurred, the majority, and I'm talking about above 99% of individuals within this entire time period, won't go back once they've polarized. So the polarization of these individuals has occurred, many individuals on this planet, has occurred simultaneously to this critical mass awareness of the false matrix reality, this matrix of entrapment, including those in key positions within your government, military, and secret service institutions. So within the military, we've got polarized service to others individuals. Not just individuals who are seeking or searching, or sometimes they're doing loving actions and feeling loving thoughts, and other times they're doing service to self actions and feeling service to self thoughts, we have got individuals who are polarized in a service to others vibration, working right now within the military. And that means the military on the planet, not necessarily any particular country. It's all over. There are polarized service to others individuals in the military right now on this planet. In the government, we've got government officials, government bodies, individuals working in that structure that have polarized a service to others, and within the Secret Service institutions. I myself know people, not very many, but I know a few, who are working within these structures, and I know that they have polarized. And what that means is these individuals are sort of aware of what they're doing. It's almost as though they feel, I'm in disguise, I've been led to this job, this is a service to self controlled structure, I know that, and I'm surrounded by service to self individuals, and I have to play the game and act like I'm one of them, and yet I'm spreading my light and I'm there, and if I can do whatever I can to present service to others energy in whatever form that may be, I will. And should anything occur, not that I know what that thing is, I will be ready to take action. These people are aware of this. And what's so great is they are in disguise, because the service to self groups, once someone polarizes, they can't see that. They can't actually look within their organization and think, oh, that person's polarized, that one hasn't, that service to self, we'll carry on employing him. No, that one's polarized, we'll have to, remove them. They don't see that. Because the individuals that polarize within these systems are given, well, the Nine call this the violet cloak of invisibility. It's kind of like it's a certain shift within the DNA that gives out the glow of light without making that person a beacon for all to see. So they're invisible, if you like. They are surrounded by this cloak of invisibility. And it's a really good metaphor to use. It's a good visualization if you want to use that. If you ever want to become invisible for any reason, say you're out in a dangerous scenario and there are people around that you're perhaps worried that they might be harmful towards you in some way, you can place this violet cloak of invisibility over you. And whilst they can see your physical form, they can't see your energy. The other way to look at this is all the service to self individuals see as a blinding light, and it's merged. They can't actually pinpoint people within that. On the flip side to that, a service to others polarized individual will be able to recognize another one. We can see one another. We can walk into a room of 100 people and look and think, that one's polarized. Yeah, that person's polarized. And we can see them, look at them, nod, say hello in greeting. They'll nod back and say hello in greeting because they can recognize us. But it's a unique vibration. It's the fifth dimension and beyond. And those that are there can recognize others that are there. They can see that. But the service to self energies can't. They can see the white blinding light of that dimension, but they can't pinpoint the individuals because they wear this violet cloak of invisibility. And those that are also cloaked will be able to see one another. It's like a sort of see-through material, if you like, that service to self individuals can't see through it. Service to others can, if you choose that you would want them to. And any polarized service to others individual would gladly open their fields in full openness to any other service to others individual, because they are you. They are you. They are your sisters and brothers here in this reality, but they are you in the true reality. So within the government, within the military and the secret service institutions, we have polarized service to others individuals. Full polarization into a service to others frequency is rare indeed, shall we say, within these particular constructs. So within the government, within the military, and within the secret service institutions, this is a service to self run structure. And it's very rare for a service to others individual to be within that structure. The military, the government, and the secret service institutions, they're service to self structures. These are predominantly service to self domains, and any leanings towards service to others is usually squashed, deceived, controlled, or replaced. That is because in the past, prior to this gateway, this Stargate of the Equinox 2017, they could be seen. Not necessarily seen, but they could be detected because the energy was still somewhat of a denser vibration. And so the light individuals could be seen. So they were squashed, deceived, and controlled, or replaced, whatever that means. And I can look into that, actually. So squashed would be taking away their energy, taking away their intelligence, their ideas, their contribution. They would be pushed down in that area. Deceived, so that they would be presenting a false reality in front of them and manage to deceive these service to others individuals. Controlled, so they're in a structure where they cannot flourish, they cannot if they want to stay within that system, they cannot actually branch out into any kind of service to others behavior because they're controlled by such a heavy system. Or replaced, that would be then taken out of the structure and replaced with someone else, either a different individual, or in some cases a copy of the original individual. So not sure really what that's about. I mean, there is some talk of clones and things being used. I haven't had a great deal of information of that from the Nine, but there's something like that going on. There's some kind of technology like that going on. But of course, that's a whole other issue and a whole other transmission. Maybe the Nine will talk about that more in the future. So yet, due to the new construct, the new matrix of light created by these rainbow warriors who wear the badge of sovereignty, the service to others energetic has been able to grow and flourish within these constructs and not be detected. So, of course, before we've got, say, 500 people and one becomes service to others polarized, the service to self groups can see them clearly. Just one within that vast service to self structure. The service to self structure is so contained within that sort of collective, if you like, and that's not a positive collective. I'm talking more about this Borg mentality, the Borg from Star Trek. It's kind of like this hive mind. So one that breaks away from that hive mind can be spotted. But due to the new construct, so we've got light running through everywhere since long before this point. The March equinox is an intensifying of that construct. The new matrix of light created by these rainbow warriors who wear the badge of sovereignty. So these are the rainbow warriors. These are the starseeds who are aware of the false narrative. They're aware of the false construct, and they are able to work within the true organic construct, their own empowerment, their own self. They've worked with their own issues and their traumas, and they are aware of the ascension process, and they are aware that they're a starseed and their memories are coming back, and they start to live within alignment, within integrity, within assertiveness, creating good, strong boundaries, but loving boundaries, a good balance of love and light. They wear the badge of sovereignty, and due to the matrix of light created by them, the service to others energetic has been able to grow and flourish within these constructs. So there's not just one service to others individual within a group of 500, but there's like several. I'm not sure how many, but let's say 50 within 500 as an example. That would be enough to create this dimension of light, so that when the service to self individuals look for these service to others individuals, all they see is a beam of light running through, and they can't see where it's coming from. they have been able to grow and flourish within these constructs and not be detected, to the point where full polarization occurs on or around your March equinox point. So March 20th, March 21st, depending where you are in the world, full polarization has occurred within a great many individuals across the planet, including in these service to self structures. This is something the service to self groups did not expect or foresee at all. They did foresee the star seed revolution, if you like, but they didn't know how that would manifest. And they certainly didn't feel that it would be infiltrated within their own structures, within the political system, within the secret service systems, and within the military. They didn't expect that it would infiltrate those heavily controlled areas. And of course it has. So that's taken them by surprise somewhat. And some of them don't believe it to be so. So that's a whole other issue. The service to self energy still holds within these constructs, but their agenda is hindered greatly when full polarization of service to others' frequencies occurs within key figures within these constructs. So yes, the service to self energy still holds within these constructs. The military, the government, the secret service organizations, they're still service to self structures, and the energy still holds fast within them. But their agenda is hindered greatly. So they can't carry on with these plans that they've had that's leading them to this one ultimate plan of world domination, and beyond that, beyond Earth's domination, control systems spreading out into other planetary systems as well and other dimensions. That agenda is being hindered on all levels because you have full polarization of service to others' frequencies within key figures within these constructs. So key figures, we're talking about people in leadership positions. Now, leadership positions in government, in the secret service organizations, and within the military would all be service to self normally. Even if some service to others energy got into these systems, they wouldn't be key figures and they wouldn't be leaders, but they are now. And they've managed to get there undetected, taking the service to self groups by surprise. So this is what's happening. Why? Why is their agenda hindered greatly? We shall explain this to you now, and this is of paramount import, that which we say to you now. Once an individual has attained full polarization within service to others' frequency, they can no longer be squashed, deceived, controlled, or replaced. We repeat, they can no longer be squashed, deceived, controlled, or replaced. That's why their agenda is hindered. They can't replace or control or deceive a fully polarized individual in these structures that's in a key position. There's a sort of law. It's not really a law. It's more of a treaty. It's more of an agreement. It's an agreement made within a group soul structure. So ultimately, it's an agreement made within self from the group soul perspective. So as the group soul, so let's say one is 11th dimensional, if you like, looking down. I'm a group soul. I'm going to incarnate as all the service to self individuals and all the service to others individuals on this planet. And that's done by splitting oneself into two. So there's a polarization down the dimensions. The agreement I will make with self is that once an individual attains polarization, then they cannot be taken away. It's kind of like, I guess, a chess game, if you like. Say you're playing a chess game, and your queen within the chess game is very vulnerable. It's like making an agreement with your opponent to say, once an hour's gone by, you can no longer take my queen and I can no longer take your queen. They're then permanently in the chess game. This is not the rules of chess, but I'm using it as a metaphor. Probably not a great one, but anyway. So say the agreement is made between the players of the chess game. Okay, once we're an hour into the chess game, we won't take one another's queen. It's kind of like that. That's the agreement. So it's rather than it being a law, and it's an agreement. And if the agreement is broken, then there will be a repercussion that the service to self groups will not want. That's kind of why. So they can no longer be squashed, deceived, controlled, or replaced. So if you're sort of looking at an individual who's in a key position within the government, the military, or the secret service organizations, and you are aware of this replacement cloning plan or control plan, deceiving, be aware that those individuals, it would be very difficult for a fully polarized service to others individual to fall for any deceiving or any control, and they wouldn't be allowed to be replaced in that way. That's kind of how I'm interpreting this. It is not possible for this to occur. Okay, so the 9 are now saying, we will present this information to you through metaphor. So I just did that with the chess game. Let us just imagine that any being, in this case human, when achieving full polarization, becomes an angel. We speak here in metaphor, yet the truth of this situation is far closer than many would realize. So as a metaphor, the 9 are saying here, in order to explain to you how this works, once an individual, a human individual, achieves full polarization, which is beyond that larger energy within them than service to self, they become an angel. We speak here in metaphor, yet the truth of this situation is far closer than many would realize, which would suggest that in a way, any individual who is fully polarized within service to others is an angel on earth, which is why this series is called Angels on Earth. So for the sake of this example, let us say that a fully polarized human individual becomes an angel living upon earth. And that within this earth, there are laws that must be adhered to. In fact, the fabric of reality is such that it is impossible for these laws to be broken. This is in itself another subject, the subject of cosmic or universal laws. And we will speak on this in time. But for now, know that these laws cannot be broken. So the 9 is saying here that it is actually a law rather than a treaty. How I explained it, it's actually a law that this cannot be broken. Once an individual has become an angel on earth, in that metaphor, there are certain laws that must be adhered to. Whilst the service to others frequency must allow for some negativity to provide polarization, so too is this the same for the service to self frequency. Positivity must also be allowed, and this indeed translates to the law: one cannot influence, harm, change, or attempt to control an angel on earth. So that one cannot influence, harm, change, or attempt to control an angel on earth, that is a translation of a certain energy to do with positive and negative frequency. So we've got a service to others frequency. So we're looking at energy here, that energy as a living energy within this game, within this group soul manifestation. This service to others frequency must allow for some negativity to provide the polarization. There still has to be some polarization of negative and positive at the moment on the third dimension, even though the call is being put out for the raise in polarity. And that's what's happening. But we can't just go from A to Z in one fell swoop within the linear reality. We have to take it in steps. So there's still some negativity to provide polarization, but nowhere near what it was before this critical mass point, March Equinox 2017. So the service to others frequency, a living frequency, is allowing for some negativity to provide the polarization, and so too is this the same for the service to self frequency. They must allow the positivity, and that is the law. And that's what it means when they say one cannot influence, harm, change, or attempt to control an angel on earth. So that's the treaty. So the law is to do with the positive and the negative frequency playing out, and that's translated to a treaty or an agreement. That's how it would be translated within a third dimensional reality. So the brain, as an interface for the higher dimensions, in order to translate this balance between negative and positive, and the fact that we are raising from such an intense polarity to a lighter polarity, one translates this within this, through this interface that is the brain, in a third dimensional presentation that makes sense to us. So the treaty would be the response to that agreement. And that's the chess game. The two individuals playing chess are agreeing within an hour goes past within our game, and we won't take one another's queen. And that's what's happened. If you use that metaphor, the chess game has gone beyond the hour. And now the queen cannot be taken. So one cannot influence, harm, change, or attempt to control an angel on earth. An angel being a fully polarized human individual. The service to self groups upon your planet and beyond your planet have had no choice to adhere to this law, for they threaten their entire agenda if they do not. This would be checkmate for them, if you will, within the cosmic chess game. Therefore, by their own construct, these laws cannot be broken. They have checkmated themselves. So I actually forgot that the 9 used chess as a metaphor within this transmission. And I used the chess game as my own metaphor, but obviously the 9 used it. So I was consciously not aware of that. As I go through these translations, I don't read the channeling beforehand. I tend to leave it, so I come to it fresh. So I don't read the actual piece that I've been translating for a while. I haven't actually read through this for, since it was uploaded, so for the last couple of months. So I come back to it fresh, so I can then have a fresh perspective of my own channeling, and then I'm able to give, I feel, a more in-depth analysis. So an angel being a fully polarized human individual. So we've talked about that. This is the polarization within the service to others frequency. As a metaphor, that individual becomes an angel on earth because they're fully polarized within that service to others frequency. The service to self groups upon your planet and beyond your planet. So we've got the service to self groups within earth and the non-physical entities, or the physical ET entities of service to self energy. They have no choice but to adhere to this law, for they threaten their entire agenda if they do not. I'm not quite sure how that works, how they would threaten their agenda. And I have to be honest with you, the 9 haven't told me this information, and they're still not telling me. I'd love to know, how are they threatening their agenda by breaking this law? And the 9 are not telling me this yet. But it is something that's going to come out. They're saying that it isn't time for me to know that. So, this would be checkmate for them, if you will, within the cosmic chess game. So using chess as a metaphor there. Therefore, by their own construct, these laws cannot be broken. Therefore, by their own construct. So that would suggest that the construct they created was created by them. Well, of course it would be when we're all one soul. But I think the 9 are actually meaning here that there was some kind of agreement that the service to self groups wanted. And that agreement, because they wanted it and they created it, they can't break it because of this huge backlash. And I'm not sure what this backlash is. By their own construct, these laws cannot be broken. So there's some reason why they cannot go against this, because they chose the structure. I mean, I would sort of hazard a guess that if you were to go against your own construct, you could break your construct. So if they go against this plan that they created, would that shatter the service to self group completely? I mean, the 9 are telling me I'm close, but it's not the time for me to fully analyze that yet. So I'm going off track, they're telling me. Therefore, by their own construct, these laws cannot be broken. They have checkmated themselves. So that's really interesting. They have checkmated themselves. They created a construct that they thought would assist them, and it's their actual construct that they created to assist them that is preventing them from being able to control or influence or harm or change an angel on earth. So interesting, and as I said, I'm not fully sure what that means. Anyone who's got any ideas, feel free to write in the comments section about that, as we're all learning together. So I'll leave that analysis there today. That's part 5. I will be back shortly with part 6. Thank you so much for listening, and have a lovely day. Bye. What is the Matrix? Who are the Masters? I, Magenta Pixie, am so very pleased to present my first book, channeled from my guidance system that I refer to as the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of 9. Discover the true story of our origins as an energy system, how we lost the original template for our destiny, and how we are now in the process of remembering those lost codes. Learn how humanity may reclaim the sovereignty which is rightfully ours, bringing us back into wholeness, integration, and full understanding of who we are, why we are here, and what we are here to do. Spirituality, metaphysics, and science merge, as the sacred geometry, known as the language of light, is downloaded and decoded. The realization and activation of these ancient codes for a new dawn of man is an alchemical process available to us all. Now is the time that collectively we move forward into a fully conscious ascension and embrace the new archetype of Master of the Matrix.